In this interview, I was joined by Connor Kane, the journalist for Darts Now. I'll split this up into two parts because we were speaking for an hour long. So I split this up into two parts. The first 20 minutes you will see today, and the next 25 minutes you will see tomorrow, same time, midday tomorrow. Call yourself Connor.
Connor Kane's fine. Although
Yeah,
a lot of people call me many different things, but I won't go into those.
yeah, yeah. And just a few questions to start off with.
Yep.
What's your first? What is your what is your first inspiration? Who do you inspire? Who do you inspire to be?
Oh, well, inspired. That's an interesting one. I mean, inspired in terms of what? I mean, in terms of my favorite dart player, Simon Whitlock. So I'd always like to say Simon Whitlock in terms of an inspiration. Because I think with Simon, you've got a guy who genuinely loves darts. I mean, there are a few dart players who just happen to be very good, but they don't particularly love the sport or really interested in it. Whereas Simon, I mean, you've got somebody who's flown, moved his entire life, really, what, 9,000 miles across the globe to
Yeah,
really commit to the sport. And every time you see him out, whether it's on holiday or whether it's just going shopping, he's always in a windmill top. The guy lives and
yeah,
breathes darts. And I think to have somebody within the sport who's really committed and dedicated his entire life to it and made huge sacrifices, and someone who's north of 50 and he's still playing despite the highs and lows is really incredible. And it's quite inspiring actually to have someone like that in our sport who is really just committed his all. Now, obviously, his son Mason Whitlock is trying to do the same. So,
yeah.
best of luck to Mason.
I always remember Samuel like when he played in the World Cup final with Paul Nicholson,
Yeah.
Phil Taylor, and was it Adrian Lewis?
Heartbreaking stuff. I mean, obviously I'm English, but I wanted Simon to do it then, but he did it 10 years later with Damon Heta, which is probably my favorite darting memory, to be honest, when Australia
Were
lifted
you
the
there?
World Cup.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't. I only started doing this job in October, so unfortunately, I wasn't there for that one. I was there for this World Cup. I was hoping that they could do it again, but it wasn't to be. But it was nice to see England win, the first time since 2016, I think it was. So it was still
Yeah.
nice.
And obviously you got uh, obviously obviously Phil Taylor, Phil Taylor for this country. He was massive for this sport of darts and the massive growth.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what Phil Taylor's done, I don't think we'll ever see it again. I mean, Luke Humphries is trying his best, and Michael Van Gerwen in his prime, he was trying his best, and all these players have come along. But the incredible thing about Phil Taylor is he did it over a period of about over 25 years. I mean, to dedicate your entire life to something over that long, I mean, he was untouchable. 16 world match play, 16 world championships. I mean, we'll never see numbers like that. And
Yeah.
I know some people may say that well, he didn't quite have the same competition, but you look at the level he was playing at. I mean, he was having tournament averages of 104, 5, 6, 7. It was just an incredible, and darts wouldn't be anywhere near as popular as it is today without Phil Taylor. Just you can't find the words to describe how much of an icon he is.
We'll come back to that in a second. But talking about your previous question, you only started this full time in October.
Right.
What made you want to become a dart journalist? Let's say.
Well, I became a fan of darts in 2018, so probably quite late on. Probably, a lot of people probably started watching the sport before I did, and like a lot of people, it was the World Championship. I'd come home from university at Christmas time. There was nothing on television, so I whacked the darts
Mm.
on for a bit of background, and then it was Phil Taylor's
Rob
last
Cross.
championship and Rob
Rob,
Cross's first.
yeah,
But to be honest, the story that captured me throughout the World Championship and the thing that really drew me to the sport more wasn't those two. It was Jamie Lewis.
yeah,
Because Lewis in that year, he wasn't fancied at all. Then he had a massive run to the semi-finals, beating Peter Wright along the way to do that. And he lost 6-1 in the end to Phil Taylor in the semi-finals. But I think he had darts to win like 4 or 5 of those sets. So, it could have been a different story. And for me, just to watch that story of an outright underdog who is, wasn't fancied by anyone, who was, come through the semi-finals beating these big people, that captured me the most. And then obviously the game after that semi-final, Rob Cross in the final, it was your very typical passing of the torch moment. Phil
Mm-hmm.
Taylor, 16 time world champion, handing the torch to Rob Cross, who on his debut lifted the trophy. So I started watching darts then. I didn't really know what I wanted to do as a career, man. I graduated from uni in 2018 doing media, film, and TV. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
really want to go into that, didn't really fancy it too much. So floated about a few different jobs, just working in retail and what have you. And then when COVID hit, I had a bit of time to think what I wanted to do. And I remember working in Three, the phone shop, and I served a customer who used to be a journalist. And I was talking to him while setting up his phone, and he was just saying how, all these experience that he's had, that he's got to travel the world being a journalist and this, that, and the other. So I thought, yeah, you know what, I could do that. So I applied to do a master's in sports journalism in Liverpool. Um, and that gave me my first experience of interviewing a sports star. I was able to go to the Grand Slam of Darts in 2022 to interview Michael Smith. Now, this was, I think, the first round still in the group stages. And I interviewed
Yeah.
Michael Smith. I remember saying to him, could this be the week? And of course, it was the week. A few days later, I picked up his first major, the Grand Slam of Darts, and then a few months after that, the World Championship. And so, ever since that interview, I knew that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in the press room with the players, talking to the players. And then I was quite lucky with how the job came about, because with darts now, we have a few other things within it. One of them being a brand called Boxing Now. And one of the guys on my course, he used to freelance for that boxing website. And his boss asked him, "Do you know anything about darts? I want to get into darts." And my friend said, "No, but I know somebody who does." So we put him in contact with me, and that was that. So I was quite lucky about how I got the job. But I'm so fortunate because like I said, since 2018, I've just fallen in love with darts. I watch it, I play it, write about, everything to do with darts. I just love. So this really is a dream job for me at the moment.
Yeah, talking about you playing it. I saw a video on Dance Now. You should go and check it out if you haven't already. Um, are you with uh and who was it? Andy
And Andy
um
Cornwall, yeah,
yeah, Andy
great
Andy
guy,
Conway and
great guy.
you got the progress where you set some of the data up from, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. In fact, let me go grab them. I've got them here. So,
I did
well,
it this
that that video that we did actually find your perfect dart. So I got these barrels. I don't know if you can see them actually. Probably got to cut them off, put them there.
Yeah, there we go.
These, and we spent about an hour. And the reason, what he was looking at them, and he was looking at how they fly through the board, the angle they sit in, how you grip them, and because he's a professional, he's done this so long. He looks at things that you don't even think of. And I could go up there with a dart and I can throw a 180 and think, yes, it's an amazing dart. And he can be like, no, that's not the right dart for you. Because yes, you've hit a 180, but if you keep using that dart, I can see it's not flying right and you're not going to get the results. But we have filmed actually a follow-up video with that a couple of weeks ago, where because those darts that I picked, they're out of stock now. They don't sell them anymore. So if I needed to replace them, I couldn't. So I did another video with him to find quite a similar dart, but a little bit different. And the video's not been released yet. It is going to be released in the next couple of days. So this is an exclusive look at them. I got
Yeah.
these two ones there, which are the Mission Crypt darts, where it's a similar sort of barrel where there's that bulbous, that thickness, but they do taper towards the bottom. And like I said, if nobody's checked out the video yet, I do recommend it because it is incredible, really. All these different things that go into darts. I mean, if you look at darts sort of 30, 40 years ago, you just pick up any old set and just chuck. And a lot of people will have the same that for 30, 40 years and they'll never change throughout the career. Whereas now, it's evolved and there's a more analytical side to the game where people, and you've got darts coaches now. You look at Glenn Durham, Wayne Mardle. You spoke to Matt Edgar. He does his own coaching as
Hmm.
well. But there's a lot more that goes into darts now. I think that's because of the money in the game and also the popularity. people are taking it really, really seriously more and more now.
So that video, I believe, sat on 136,000. So
It
is
did
that when
fly, yeah,
when
it's
you
incredible.
is that when you started taking it fully seriously, or did you always take it seriously from the beginning?
What's that? The journalism side or the playing?
Journalism,
Well, yeah, I mean, when we saw
well,
that,
a bit of both, to be fair.
well, I'd love to take playing that seriously. Unfortunately, I'm not that good. So I mean, but that's why I'm going to things like Andy Cornwall, and I'll be looking at maybe sort of doing coaching sessions in the future to try and improve my own game. But in terms of darts journalism, yeah, I mean, obviously we go to all the events and we do the interviews, but um, there's quite a lot of other channels that do that as well. So you've really got to find sort of a unique thing that not other people do. And sort of we thought of that idea and we did that. And we went to Darts Corner and Andy, who were and both amazing. I can't say enough good things about them. Because we filmed this video as well, I think in January, and obviously we just had the World Championship, we just had Luke Littler, and more people were playing. They're either playing darts for the first time after a long time, or just playing darts for the first time, full stop. So people wanted to know, okay, how do I get the perfect dart for me? Then what goes into it? So I think that's why it took off. And then when we saw that video and how well that performed, it really almost changed our game plan. It's made us come up with sort of different ideas and different sort of video ideas and avenues of what we can do and what people want to see. But yeah, when you see obviously when you see the numbers like that, it's great. But when you see all the comments as well below saying, how great of an insight it was, it really is good, and that sort of drives you to sort of find what content people want and people are interested in.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously Luke Littler's died. They obviously flew off the show
Absolutely.
once he got to the final. I lost of Luke Humphries, but they flew off the show. But it just showed that when you got like a Michael Van Gogh and a Luke Littler or a Luke Humphries, they want to buy the darts.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? In all honesty, I'm the same. I mean, the amount of play of darts that I've bought throughout the years is enormous. I spent so much money on Taylor, Raymond van Barneveld, Peter I got Luke Humphries darts. I got quite a few different sets of Simon Whitlock darts, Anderson, Mervyn King. Not actually got any of Luke Littler's darts.
You should
But
ask him for some.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I think, and this is the great thing about Andy Cornwall, what he was saying. It's every dart is different, and just because Luke Littler plays well with one dart doesn't mean you will play well with the other. It's like you look at Phil Taylor and Michael Van Gerwen, two exceptional players, and they throw completely different darts to each other. So every dart is unique to someone, but I think even if you're not going to play with them, it can be fun to collect. People need a hobby, and some people like to collect darts. I know I've got a lot of player darts. I don't really throw with them because I throw with the ones that I got from Andy Cornwall. But it's nice to have them. It's nice to sort of collect them and to support your favorite players as well. But yeah, like you said, the Luke Littler ones, they flew off the shelves, didn't they? I mean, they were out of stock very, very quickly, because everybody wants a
It was
piece
a
of.
joke.
I'm
It was
sorry.
a joke. It
Oh,
was a
no, oh
joke.
no! I mean, no, it was serious. Yeah, it was. I mean, everything to do with Luke Littler. They've got Luke Littler, um, the K-Flex integrated stem and flight system now, which again they just flew off. But even if you're not interested in darts, Luke Littler's transcended darts. People. I mean, he was on the Ariel Hawani podcast. He was on the Jonathan Ross show. People who haven't really looked at darts before now want Luke Littler. I mean, Luke, he was chilling out with Lando Norris the other week, which is that's quite a surreal thing. And then Cody Rhodes gave him a message as well.
Mhm.
I mean, what he's done. We talked earlier about what Phil Taylor did for the darts. I mean, Luke Littler's just taken it to another level, and he's opened up a huge new audience for the sport, which is helping every single player within darts. It's making their lives better. It puts more money in their pocket.
Yeah, certainly does. So now, when you go talking about the journalism side again, when you go to these events, do you obviously there's a press room, but how
Yep.
many people? how many people are in in the press room?
Well, I mean, it can vary. I mean, when when Luke Littler first burst into the scene, there was a lot more than normal. I remember when at the World Championship, when we did Luke Littler's interview after he lost the World Final, there was probably about 40 of us interviewing Luke Littler after the World Final. And then when we got Luke Humphries a few minutes later, even though he just won the World Championship, we got about six, which was I think that was quite disrespectful, actually. I think the people who were there for Luke Littler, out of respect, stay for the world champion. You've made the effort. So, but I'd say generally, you don't get that many, to be honest. I mean, at the big events, so the World Championship
Yeah.
and the World Match Play and things like that, you might get maybe four or five of us. But at the other events, like if you look at the UK Open Players Championship finals, in the World Cup and European Championship, the ones that are in Germany, you might only get two of us, maybe three. 'Cause normally you'll get me and you'll get Phil Bars, who goes to all of
Yeah.
them, and you also might get a local one, like at the World Cup, for example, you'd get a German reporter, or if Michael van Gerwen's playing, you might get a reporter from the Netherlands there. But yeah, there's not as many as you might expect. But when Luke Littler's playing, there generally is more.
We'll come back to Phil Biden in a minute, 'cause I want to know a little bit about him. But as Murphy had just said in his previous interview, it was never the Luke Humphries wins the world title. It was always Luke Littler loses the world
Yes.
title.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, it is just the way it is. I mean, if you look at, I think a lot of these things, a lot of those headlines are from outlets who maybe don't really
Don't have
follow
a clue.
that. Yeah, yeah, it's essentially,
Well,
and
no, well, don't have a clue, but they just follow the big majors and that's it.
yeah, and you know what? I'll tell you something actually, and I wasn't happy about this. First Premier League night. So in the Premier League, so because they play multiple matches on one day, you only interview the winner, and you might
Hmm.
also interview the runner-up. They've got an option; they can decide. But you don't interview losing quarter-finalists, and you don't interview anyone who lost in the semi-final. First Premier League night in Cardiff. Obviously, huge story. Luke Littler's been picked for the Premier League. He loses to Michael Smith in the semi-final. Soon as he loses, half the people are packing up the cameras. And I'm just thinking, I can't believe what I'm seeing. You've made the journey all the way to Cardiff. You might as well stay now and interview
Really?
And we got a great interview with the winner, Michael Smith. And Gerdwin Price, he was the runner-up. He chose to do an interview. We got a great interview with him. And all those people who came for Luke Littler, they packed up when he lost. They missed out on those interviews, which is incredible, incredible for me. And I understand that, Luke Littler is the biggest name in darts. He's transcended darts. He's all these uh, all these collaborations he's doing with WWE and with Formula One and Manchester United, England football team, and he deserves all the credit in the world. I can't say enough good things about Luke Littler, but it would be nice to see the other outlets who perhaps don't follow darts all the time, just to show a bit more respect to the other players that are there. And also, I think the sort of general media, the national media, and I'm talking a lot about the newspapers now, need to um, need to understand that this is a 17-year-old and maybe protect him a little bit. The English media do have a bit of a reputation at building up young stars and then knocking them down. I mean, the amount of stories that I saw last week about Luke Littler breaking up with his girlfriend and the content there was
No. Yeah, it was.
not good. It was not good, and it was disgusting. And but that's there's a wonderful side of journalism, and there's also a dark side of journalism that it would be nice if it wasn't there, but it is.
Last thing about Luke Littler, because we've basically been talking about Luke Littler. Do you think the PDC are protecting him as much as they can? Or Could they do
Yeah,
a
no,
little bit more?
yeah. In fairness to the PDC, I think they are doing a terrific job because it is difficult. He's that much in demand. I mean, everybody wants Luke Littler every second of the day, but I think his management team that he's got around him, his parents and the PDC, I think they've really got good plans in place. And I think you see with Luke Littler, he doesn't really do anything that he doesn't want to do. If he wants to miss events, he'll miss events. So I do think they've done a really good job of protecting them because it is a difficult job as well. I don't think the PDC was expecting to have this level of interest so quickly. So to sort of manage that in the way that they have is a difficult thing. But no, I think that they have done a good job at protecting Luke Littler. Um, Obviously, they can't control what things are written. They've got. I mean, if I mentioned before Luke Littler breaking up with his girlfriend and all those stories. The PDC can't control what people are writing about that, because people will just write whatever they want. But yeah, in terms of how they've managed and protected Luke Littler, I think him, his parents, and his management have done a great job at doing that because it is difficult because no one's used to having this level of demand in this sport.
Anyway, talking about the final one, World Championship again. I've been at two World Championship finals, so it's been pretty good. But yeah, I've been at two World Championship finals. I was at the Michael Wenger, Michael Smith, and Luke Humphries one. So that was good.
Which Michael was it the one with the nine data?
Yeah, the one with the nine data. That
Oh
was
wow,
crazy.
what an incredible one to be at.
Yeah, it was crazy.